I want to go to President Obama. He's in Virginia, and he is talking about the new jobs numbers, 227,000 new jobs created last month. He's also going to talk about the general state of the economy. Let's listen in.
Folks were working harder and longer for less. It was getting tougher to afford health care or to send your kids to college. The economy was already shedding jobs. And in less than a decade, nearly 1 in 3 manufacturing jobs had vanished. Then the bottom fell out of the economy, and things got that much tougher. We were losing 700,000 to 800,000 jobs a month. The economy was hemorrhaging. And 3.5 years later, we're still recovering from the worst economic crisis in our lifetimes. And we've got a lot of work to do before everybody who wants a good job can find one. Before middle-class folks regain that sense of security that had been slipping away even before the recession hit. And before towns like Petersburg get fully back on their feet. But here's the good news. Over the past 2 years, our businesses have added nearly 4 million new jobs. We just found out that last month in February, we added 233,000 private sector jobs. More companies are bringing jobs back and investing in America. And manufacturing is adding jobs for the first time since the 1990s. We just had another good month last month in terms of adding manufacturing jobs. And this facility is part of the evidence of what's going on all across the country. This company is about to hire more than 200 new workers, 140 of them right here in Petersburg, Virginia. So the economy is getting strong. And when I come to places like this and I see the work that's being done, it gives me confidence there are better days ahead. I know it because I would bet on American workers and American know-how any day of the week. The key now, our job now, is to keep this economic engine churning. We can't go back to the same policies that got us into this mess. We can't go back to an economy that was weakened by outsourcing and bad debt and phony financial profits. We've got to have an economy that's built to last. And that starts with American manufacturing. It starts with you. For generations of Americans, manufacturing has been the ticket into the middle class. Every day, millions clocked in at foundries and on assembly lines, making things. And the stuff we made, steel and cars and jet engines, that was the stuff that made America what it is. It was understood around the world. The work was hard, but the jobs were good. They paid enough to own a home and raise kids and send them to college, gave you enough to retire on with dignity and respect. They were jobs that told us something more important than how much we were worth. They told us what we were worth. They told us that we were building more than just products. They told us we were building communities and neighborhoods. We were building a country. It gave people pride about what America was about. And that's why one of the first decisions I made as president was to stand by manufacturing, to stand by the American auto industry when it was on the brink of collapse. The heartbeat of American manufacturing was at stake, and so were more than 1 million jobs. And today, the American auto industry is coming back, and GM is #1 in the world again, and Ford is investing billions in American plants and factories. And together, over the past 2.5 years, the entire auto industry has added more than 200,000 jobs. And here's the thing. They're not just building cars again, they're building better cars. For the first time in 3 decades, we raised fuel standards in this country so that by the middle of the next decade, the cars that are built in America will average nearly 55 miles to the gallon. That will save the typical family about $8,000 at the pump over time. That's real savings. That's real money. And it shows that depending on foreign oil doesn't have to be our future. It shows that when we harness our own ingenuity, our technology, then we can control our future. See, America thrives when we build things better than the rest of the world. I want us to make stuff here and sell it over there. I don't want stuff made over there and selling it over here. And that's exactly what you're doing here at the largest Rolls-Royce facility in the world. That's what you're doing by building the key components of newer, faster, more fuel-efficient jet engines. Now, I just took a tour and I learned a bit about how a jet engine comes together. Don't quiz me on it. I'm a little fuzzy on some of the details. I did press some buttons back there. But a few weeks ago, I actually got to see the finished product. I went to Boeing in Washington State, and I checked out a new Dreamliner. I even got to sit in the cockpit, which was pretty sweet. I didn't press any buttons there, though, because if it started going, there would have been a problem. So this plane, the Dreamliner, is going to keep America at the cutting edge of aerospace technology. American workers are manufacturing various components for it in Ohio, and Oklahoma, and South Carolina, and Kansas, and right here in Petersburg. In fact, the demand for their planes was so high last year that Boeing had to hire 13,000 workers all across America just to keep up. And Boeing is gaining more and more share all the time. So think about that. Rolls-Royce is choosing to invest in America. You're creating jobs here, manufacturing components for jet engines, for planes that we're going to send all around the world. That's the kind of business cycle we want to see. Not buying stuff that's made someplace else and racking up debt, but by inventing things and building things and selling them all around the world, stamped with 3 proud words, made in America. Made in America. Think about how important this is. I mean, imagine if the plane of the future was being built someplace else. Imagine if we had given up on the auto industry. Imagine if we had settled for a lesser future. But we didn't. We're Americans, we are inventors, we are builders, we're Thomas Edison, and we're the Wright brothers, and we are Steve Jobs. That's who we are. That's what we do. We invent stuff, we build it, and pretty soon the entire world adapts it. That's who we are. And as long as I'm president, we're going to keep on doing it. We're going to make sure the next generation of life-changing products are invented and manufactured here in the United States of America. So that's why we launched an all-hands-on-deck effort. We brought together the brightest academic minds, the boldest business leaders, the most dedicated public servants, from our science and our technology agencies, all with one big goal: a renaissance in American manufacturing. We called it the Advanced Manufacturing Partnership. The Advanced Manufacturing Partnership. And today we're building on it. I'm laying out my plans for a new national network of manufacturing innovation.
All right, I want to bring in Ali Velshi, who's at the CNN Grill in Austin, Texas, and Mark Preston, who's in D.C. Ali, let's first go to you. The president's remarks. He clearly is proud of the 227,000 jobs created. He wants to see more progress being made. Should he crow? Is it time to crow yet, or is there a lot more that needs to be done?
You live by the sword, you die by the sword, Suzanne. That's the problem. It's very dangerous for presidents unless they can point to something very specific to take credit for job growth, unless they want to also take blame for that job loss. And you know that until now, this has been a refrain that Republicans have been using, that these many jobs were lost under President Obama. If he doesn't want to take credit for that, then he's got to be careful about this. He is taking some credit, however, and here's the nuance here. He's talking about manufacturing jobs. There is no shortage of work in accounting, as we discussed, in software development, in oil work. There is a shortage of jobs in manufacturing. That's where those jobs have been lost. And in construction, we may see those construction jobs start to come back. What are we doing about manufacturing? And that's a message you're going to hear more and more between now and the campaign.
And Mark, we know that jobs, it all comes down to jobs in the campaign here. We just heard the president talking about it. Republican candidates, how are they spinning his the new numbers today? 227,000 created.
Well, you know, Newt Gingrich has come out and has put out a statement that's very critical of President Obama. The other candidates we haven't heard so much from, and it's an interesting quandary they're in, because it is good news that we've seen 227,000 jobs added, and we're seeing an upward trend, which is really good for the president as he heads into November. But the fact of the matter is, they have to be careful, the Republicans now, not to give him too much credit. They've been very critical of how his administration has handled the economy up to this point, and they specifically point to regulations. They say that businesses are overregulated, and they are also very critical of the president's tax policy, saying that the tax policy in place is detrimental to job growth. But for the president, Suzanne, as you well know, to do well heading into November, he needs to see the trend line to continue going up, and what that means is that he needs to see the unemployment rate to keep on dropping. People really base their vote on expectations.
All right, Mark, thank you very much. Good to see you. Ali as well. Have a great weekend. Here's a rundown of some of the stories we're covering over the next hour. First, what is the Obama administration saying about the latest jobs report? We're going to talk live with Labor Secretary Hilda Solis. And a brutal African warlord, a role of young people in spreading the word about his atrocities. A member of the activist group Invisible Children will join us. And then Coca-Cola takes the fizzle, yeah, that's right, fizzle, out of reports that it is changing its formula.